You need to stop what you're doing for a second and check your pocket change and $691,000 hidden wheat pennies you should never spend. Right now, because one small copper coin that looks old, dirty, and completely ordinary could secretly be worth more than a luxury house. Seriously, most people see these wheat pennies and spend them without a second thought, but collectors are fighting over certain dates so aggressively that auction prices are exploding into the hundreds of thousands. And the scary part? Nobody talks about these. Hidden wealth is sitting inside coin jars, junk drawers, and old family boxes all across America. In this video from CoinNova, we're exposing 3 ultra-rare wheat pennies that could completely change the way you look at spare change forever. Do not spend these coins. Some of them carry silent fortune, hiding behind dark surfaces, missing mint marks, and tiny details most people miss. And trust me, each coin gets rarer, more valuable, and more shocking as we go, so stay all the way to the end, because the final coin is the kind of discovery collectors dream about for decades. Coin number 1. The craziest part about the 1,920 wheat penny with no mint mark is that most people would walk right past it without even slowing down. That's exactly why this coin became such a dangerous hidden treasure. At first glance, it doesn't scream wealth. It doesn't shine like gold. It doesn't look modern or flashy. In fact, the grey layers spreading across both sides make it look worn, tired, maybe even damaged to an untrained eye. But collectors see something completely different. They see age. They see survival. They see a nearly forgotten piece of American history that somehow escaped destruction for more than a century. And today, examples in fine condition are creating real auction shock with values reaching nearly $278,000. This is not fiction. That single penny could represent more money than some people make in years. Now here's where things start getting serious. The year 1920 mattered in America more than most people realize. The country was entering a completely different era after World War I. Factories were under pressure, industries were expanding fast, and the United States Mint was producing enormous amounts of coinage to keep up with a rapidly changing economy. Money moved aggressively during that period. Businesses exploded, cities grew, and everyday commerce demanded millions upon millions of coins entering circulation. But heavy production created problems inside the minting process. Machines wore down, dies weakened, quality consistency suffered, tiny imperfections appeared, and over time, certain survivors from those stressful production years became collector obsessions. That's exactly why the 1,920 wheat penny without a mint mark became so important. This coin was struck in Philadelphia, meaning no mint mark appears beneath the date. To most people, that missing letter means absolutely nothing. But inside the coin collecting world, the absence of a mint mark changes everything. Collectors study these Philadelphia issues obsessively because original survivors with strong detail and untouched surfaces are becoming harder and harder to find every year. Most were destroyed by circulation, corrosion, cleaning, or careless handling decades ago. The few remaining examples with authentic aging now carry this mysterious emotional pull that serious buyers cannot resist. And when you hold one in your hand, the feeling is different. You can literally feel the history sitting in your palm. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams, carrying that classic bronze composition made mostly from copper with small amounts of tin and zinc blended into the metal. The diameter measures around 19 millimeters, while the thickness sits close to 1.5 millimeters. Its circular girth feels small and ordinary, which honestly makes the story even crazier because such a tiny object can secretly hold life-changing money. That contrast drives collectors insane. Something so small, yet potentially worth hundreds of thousands. The obverse side of the coin features Abraham Lincoln facing right, and even after more than 100 years, collectors still obsess over the strength of Lincoln's facial lines, hair definition, and cheek contours. The words "In God We Trust" stretch across the top edge, while liberty appears to the left side of Lincoln's portrait. The date 1920 sits clearly on the right. But here's the detail many people completely miss. The texture around those letters matters enormously. Collectors inspect the spacing, sharpness, and natural wear patterns under magnification because altered surfaces can instantly destroy authenticity. Then, you flip the coin over, and the reverse design tells another story entirely. Two wheat stalks frame the outer edges, giving the wheat penny its legendary nickname. Across the center, the bold words 1 cent stand proudly above United States of America, while E pluribus unum curves along the top. On stronger surviving examples, the wheat lines remain partially visible even after decades of circulation. And when those details survive naturally, alongside dark gray antique toning, collectors become extremely aggressive during auctions. That gray layering on both sides is actually one of the reasons this coin becomes emotionally powerful to serious buyers. New collectors often make a terrible mistake by trying to clean old pennies because they think brighter means more valuable. That mistake can destroy thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars instantly. Never clean this coin. Ever. Original toning matters. Those dark layers, subtle dirt patterns, and aged surfaces are proof of authenticity and survival. Once cleaned, the natural character disappears forever, and experienced collectors notice it immediately. This is where auction behavior gets intense. Quietly intense. Because high-level collectors don't always scream during bidding wars. Sometimes the room goes silent. Two serious buyers lock onto the same coin, and the numbers just keep climbing. Nobody wants to back down because they understand how difficult it is to locate untouched examples from this era with genuine surfaces and solid detail. Many collectors who acquire strong 1920 wheat pennies simply refuse to sell them again. They hold them for years, sometimes generations. Supply keeps shrinking while demand continues rising. That imbalance is exactly what creates silent fortune inside the coin market. And fine condition examples are especially important here. A lot of surviving 1920 pennies are heavily damaged, corroded, bent, cleaned, or worn almost smooth. But when a fine condition example still carries visible wheat lines, readable lettering, natural gray toning, and balanced wear across the surfaces, collectors treat it completely differently. Most people miss this. Condition is everything. Two coins from the exact same year can have wildly different values depending on originality and preservation. Another fascinating detail collectors obsess over is strike sharpness. During periods of minting stress, weaker strikes became more common because dies lost strength after extended use. So, when a 1920 no-mint mark wheat penny shows stronger than expected detail in Lincoln's hair or the wheat stalks, it immediately attracts more attention. Tiny details create huge money in this world. That's why professional grading becomes critical. Never assume your coin's condition on your own. One grading decision can completely change market value. And the emotional side of this market is what shocks people the most. These aren't just coins anymore. They become trophies, historical survivors, portable wealth. Some collectors chase these pieces for decades because they represent a connection to old America, an era of industrial growth, post-war transition, and economic transformation. Holding a genuine 1920 wheat penny feels like holding a physical memory from another world. Imagine realizing that a coin sitting forgotten inside an old jar for years could suddenly become a six-figure asset. That's the fear people feel after videos like this. Because once you understand what to look for, every penny starts feeling suspicious. Every old wheat penny becomes a possible hidden treasure. And yes, people are accidentally losing these fortunes every single day by spending them, cleaning them, or throwing them into random coin machines without checking the dates. So if you ever find a 1920 wheat penny without a mint mark, stop immediately and inspect it carefully. Look at the surfaces. Check the toning. Study the wheat stalks. Never polish it. Never scrape it. Never assume dirt means damage. Sometimes, that dark antique appearance is exactly what collectors want most. And if the coin appears promising, professional grading could be the smartest decision you ever make. Because this coin proves something terrifyingly real. Hidden wealth still exists in plain sight across America. But don't get too comfortable yet, because the next wheat penny on this list is even more shocking. The story behind it caused collectors to become completely obsessed, and one tiny detail on that coin turns an ordinary-looking cent into the kind of silent fortune people dream about finding only once in a lifetime. Next up, most people would throw this next coin into a gas station tray without even thinking twice, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. The 1947 wheat penny without a mint mark has become one of those silent fortune coins hiding in plain sight. The kind of coin people accidentally lose every single day because they mistake age for damage. But collectors, they see something completely different when they spot those strange gray-green layers spreading across the surface. They see untouched history. They see survival. And they see a coin that has quietly climbed to auction values reaching more than $223,000 in very fine condition. That's serious money hiding inside one tiny cent. And here's what makes this story even crazier. The year 1947 was sitting right in the middle of a massive American transition. The United States was still adjusting after World War II. Industries were shifting. Soldiers had returned home. Factories were changing production lines. And the economy was exploding into a completely different era. America was growing fast, but the mint was under enormous pressure trying to keep up with national demand for coinage. Massive circulation numbers meant coins were handled aggressively from the second they were produced. Bags of pennies slammed together, dies wore down, mint equipment suffered heavy stress. And during those chaotic production periods, certain coins developed surfaces and strike characteristics that collectors now obsess over decades later. That's where this 1947 no mint mark wheat penny enters the story. Because the missing mint mark tells collectors this coin was struck in Philadelphia, one of the most heavily watched mint locations in wheat penny history. But what separates this specific coin from millions of ordinary examples is the combination of condition, originality, and those unusual gray-green layers appearing across both the obverse and reverse sides. Most people think discoloration ruins value. In reality, authentic surface aging can increase collector interest dramatically when it develops naturally over decades. And trust me, collectors inspect these surfaces with almost frightening attention to detail. The moment a serious buyer picks up a 1947 wheat penny, they immediately begin studying texture, toning flow, and wear consistency under light. Artificial cleaning leaves behind unnatural brightness and hairline scratches. That instantly destroys trust. That's why one of the biggest warnings in coin collecting is simple. Never clean this coin. Never dip it. Never polish it. Those original grey-green antique layers are part of the story. They're evidence that the coin survived naturally through generations of circulation, storage, humidity, and time itself. This detail changes everything. The physical characteristics of the coin also matter more than most people realize. The 1947 wheat penny carries the classic bronze composition used during that era, made primarily from copper with smaller amounts of tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams and measures around 19 millimeters in diameter with a thickness close to 1.5 millimeters. In the hand, it feels incredibly ordinary, almost disappointingly small considering the value attached to it. But that contrast is exactly what fuels the obsession. A tiny copper coin that once bought almost nothing can now represent hidden wealth large enough to completely change someone's future. On the obverse side, Abraham Lincoln's portrait dominates the design, facing toward the right with that instantly recognizable calm expression collectors know so well. Across the top appears, "In God We Trust," while Liberty sits on the left side and the date 1947 rests to the right. But here's where experienced collectors become extremely picky. They focus heavily on Lincoln's jawline, cheek detail, hair strands, and the smoothness of the fields surrounding the portrait. In very fine condition, enough detail survives to create strong eye appeal while still showing natural circulation wear. Then comes the reverse side, the legendary wheat design that made these coins iconic across generations of Americans. Two wheat stalks rise along both edges, framing the large words 1 cent and United States of America in the center. At the top sits E pluribus unum. And when those wheat lines remain visible beneath original gray-green toning, collectors start paying very serious attention. Because survival is becoming the real rarity now. Most 1,947 wheat pennies were spent endlessly during the late 1940s and 1950s. Kids carried them. Stores used them constantly. Banks recycled them in bulk. Huge numbers disappeared into circulation damage, corrosion, environmental exposure, or cleaning accidents. Some were polished by people trying to improve them, unknowingly destroying massive future value forever. Others sat inside damp containers where surfaces deteriorated beyond recovery. Finding a naturally aged example today with balanced wear and attractive original color is becoming increasingly difficult. That shrinking supply is pushing collector demand higher every year. And auction rooms prove it. When a strong 1947 no mint mark wheat penny appears for sale with authentic surfaces and professional grading, bidding behavior changes instantly. Experienced collectors don't treat these coins casually anymore. Some remain completely silent during auctions, waiting until the final moments before jumping aggressively into bidding wars. Others monitor population reports constantly because they understand one important truth: fewer untouched examples survive each year. This is not fiction. Collectors are literally competing for ownership of coins many ordinary people still spend without checking dates. One of the most fascinating parts of this market is how emotionally attached buyers become to original surfaces. Those gray-green layers might look strange to beginners, but advanced collectors often prefer that antique appearance because it signals authenticity and age. Artificially bright coins raise suspicion. Natural toning creates trust, and trust creates higher prices. That's why professional grading becomes critical with coins like this. Authentication services examine whether the toning is genuine, whether the surfaces remain original, and whether hidden cleaning damage exists under magnification. A properly graded example can command enormous premiums compared to raw, uncertified coins. Most people miss this completely. Another subtle detail collectors obsess over is strike pressure. During heavy production years, weaker strikes became common as mint dies aged and deteriorated. So if a 1947 wheat penny shows unusually strong lettering or sharper wheat stalk detail despite circulation wear, collector interest rises fast. Tiny differences create enormous value gaps. And emotionally, this coin represents something bigger than money. It represents forgotten opportunity. Imagine discovering that an old penny sitting inside a family jar for decades was actually a life-changing piece of hidden treasure the entire time. That realization is what keeps people searching through old rolls, estate boxes, and inherited collections every single day. The fear of accidentally spending a silent fortune has become very real in the coin world. So if you find a 1947 wheat penny without a mint mark, slow down before doing anything else. Check the surfaces carefully. Look for natural gray-green aging. Study the wheat lines. Protect the coin from fingerprints. Never clean it under any circumstances. And if the condition appears strong, professional grading could reveal far more value than you ever imagined. Because coins like this are disappearing quietly into private collections, where collectors hold them for years and refuse to let them go. But the next coin on this list is on another level entirely. What comes next is rarer, scarier, and so valuable that even experienced collectors become nervous when one appears at auction, because this final wheat penny carries the kind of reputation that can turn a single cent into generational wealth overnight. Next up, the final coin in this video is the one that makes collectors check penny rolls with shaking hands, because almost nobody expects a 1956 wheat penny without a mint mark to become a hidden fortune. That's what makes this coin so terrifyingly easy to lose. It doesn't look flashy. It doesn't glow like silver or gold. In fact, the brown appearance mixed with strange green spots on the obverse side makes many people think it's just an old, damaged cent worth absolutely nothing. And that mistake is costing people serious money. Because in extra fine condition, this quiet little wheat penny has reached auction values close to $190,000. Think about that for a second. A single 1-cent coin, nearly worth $200,000. This is why collectors have become obsessed with searching old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten coin boxes. The fear is real now. People understand that life-changing wealth could literally be sitting inside a pile of ordinary-looking pennies. And this 1956 no mint mark wheat penny proves it better than almost any coin on this list. Now, what makes 1956 so interesting is the timing in American history. The United States was deep inside a powerful economic expansion during the 1950s. Consumer spending exploded, suburbs grew rapidly, businesses thrived, and coins flooded through circulation faster than ever before. Vending machines, diners, gas stations, grocery stores, pennies moved through millions of hands every single day. The mint had to produce enormous quantities of coinage to satisfy demand. And under that kind of non-stop production pressure, mint equipment wore down heavily. Dies weakened. Strike quality shifted. Tiny variations appeared. And over decades, a handful of surviving examples developed into collector targets that now trigger aggressive bidding wars. That's exactly what happened here. Because the 1956 wheat penny without a mint mark came from the Philadelphia Mint, meaning no identifying letter appears beneath the date. To regular people, that missing mint mark means nothing. But collectors pay attention to these details obsessively. Philadelphia issues from the wheat penny era carry enormous collector interest, especially when they survive in extra fine condition with original surfaces still intact. And this coin's appearance tells a story immediately. The brown color spreading across the coin gives it that deep antique character collectors love seeing on untouched copper. But then your eyes hit those green spots on the obverse side, and suddenly the coin becomes unforgettable. Most beginners panic when they see green coloration on old copper coins. Some immediately try scrubbing it away. That is one of the worst mistakes possible. Never clean this coin. Never scrape those surfaces. Never polish old copper. Original toning matters enormously in today's collector market. Those green areas often form naturally over decades as copper reacts slowly to environmental conditions. And when the aging appears authentic and stable, collectors actually become more interested because the surfaces tell a believable survival story. Artificially bright coins often scare experienced buyers away. Natural aging creates trust, and trust creates auction competition. This detail changes everything. The physical characteristics of the 1956 wheat penny are deceptively ordinary, which honestly makes the value even more shocking. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and measures around 19 millimeters in diameter with a thickness near 1.5 millimeters. The bronze composition contains mostly copper, blended with smaller amounts of zinc and tin, creating that classic warm tone wheat penny collectors instantly recognize. In your hand, it feels small, lightweight, and completely harmless, the exact kind of coin someone might spend without checking carefully. And that's happening every day. People are accidentally losing hidden treasure because they never learned what collectors are actually hunting. The obverse design features Abraham Lincoln facing right, and in extra fine condition, much of the portrait detail still survives beautifully. Collectors inspect Lincoln's hair texture, cheek definition, jawline sharpness, and field smoothness under strong light. The words, "In God We Trust," curve across the top edge, while "Liberty" appears to the left and the date 1956 rests on the right side. But advanced collectors go even further than that. They study the exact wear consistency around the lettering because unnatural cleaning patterns instantly reduce confidence. Then the reverse side delivers the iconic wheat penny design collectors have loved for generations. Two wheat stalks frame the outer edges, while 1 cent dominates the center above United States of America. At the top sits E pluribus unum. And when the wheat lines remain sharp beneath original brown toning, buyers pay attention very quickly. Because extra fine condition changes the conversation completely. Most surviving 1956 wheat pennies spent decades in circulation getting scratched, flattened, cleaned, bent, or chemically damaged. But extra fine examples preserve enough original detail to create strong visual appeal while still carrying natural circulation history. That balance is extremely important to collectors. Coins that look too bright raise suspicion. Coins that look naturally aged with strong remaining detail often trigger much stronger demand. And demand for original wheat pennies keeps rising. This is where the market becomes emotional. Collectors aren't just buying copper anymore. They're buying rarity, survival, nostalgia, and history all at once. Many grew up seeing wheat pennies in circulation as children. Now, decades later, those same coins have become symbols of old America, reminders of another era before digital payments and modern currency systems took over everyday life. Owning a high-grade survivor from that period feels deeply personal to many collectors. That emotional attachment is exactly why auction rooms become so intense. A strong 1,956, no mint mark, wheat penny with original surfaces can attract multiple serious buyers immediately. Some stay quiet until the final seconds before placing massive bids. Others monitor graded population reports constantly, knowing fewer premium examples remain available each year. And once collectors secure truly attractive coins, many refuse to sell them again. Supply keeps shrinking while interest keeps growing. That imbalance creates silent fortune. And here's something most people never realize. Tiny surface details can change value dramatically. Collectors study strike sharpness, color consistency, edge preservation, and even how the light reflects across the fields. One small cleaning mark can destroy value. One untouched original surface can multiply it. That's why professional grading becomes critical with important wheat pennies like this. Authentication protects both the buyer and the seller, while confirming originality and condition. So if you ever discover a 1,956 wheat penny without a mint mark, especially one showing original brown color and natural green spotting, stop immediately before doing anything else. Hold it carefully by the edges. Avoid fingerprints. Never attempt cleaning. Study the condition under light and consider professional grading if the details remain strong. Because what looks like an old, forgotten penny could actually be hidden wealth sitting quietly in your hand. And that's the scary truth behind all three coins in this video. The rarest treasures are often the ones people ignore the fastest.